We are delighted today to have a star panel with us in order to celebrate the work that has been done by one of our faculty, Dr. Muhammad Ehsan. His book has been launched recently and it will be available outside of the hall. So those of you who might be interested in getting that, he will be happy to sign it for you. Today we have a tight schedule, so we have plenty of things to do. Mine was the hardest one to in the bios of the guests that we have today. So we will be I'm just going to give you how exactly the program will be conducted. First, Dr. Riaz, Dean of the Social Sciences Department, will be speaking about what exactly his take on the book exactly is, and later on Lieutenant General Aminuddin Haider Saab will be speaking for 10 minutes. 10 minutes will be earmarked for each scholar, and then our chief guest from Russia will be sharing his take on what exactly in the context of Ukraine-Russia war has happened. First, Dr. General Shah will be speaking, then Imtiaz Gul is on his way. So if he joins us, he will be speaking second. Thirdly, we have Colonel Malik Saab. He will be speaking for 10 minutes. And then we have Brigadier Javed Iqbal. And unfortunately, Ambassador Jamil Sahab has been found positive as far as his result of COVID is concerned, so he unfortunately will not be joining us. First, Dr. Riaz, if you kindly join us and share with us your take on whatever you have come across as part of the book.
Thank you very much. First of all, I am grateful to His Excellency the Consul General of Russia who is with us today, and then grateful to Dr. Muhammad Ali who decided to launch his book from here, and all those dignitaries who are here, and especially my young students, those who are from Social Sciences Department. I have gone through the book, and book is divided into three parts. One is about Russia and Russia's current role, especially after the Ukraine war, and second is Pakistan-Russian relationship, how Pakistan-Russia relationship are going to be in future as well. This is the crux of the book, but before going into the further detail, my point of view is, let me explain about the SZABIST. The SZABIST established in 1995 as a private university, and we have different departments, and one of the departments is Faculty of Social Science and Education. We have 4 different specializations: IR, Economics, Psychology, and Sociology, and a few new department is Department of Education. And from these forums, we have been conducting such events in the past, and this is the continuation of the same event. Before I talk about this issue, I have a lot of memories about Soviet Union, the former USSR, from my childhood days. I do remember when my father used to receive a monthly newsletter. It was from People's Publishing House of Soviet Union, and name of the publication was Tulu. You call it Awakening, you call it Rising. This was the thing from the day earlier. We had this, experience with this. And our attachment Soviet Union starts from the October Revolution 1970. The basis of our relation is not today's scale, but it's very old, century old, and how we have been making our relation together. And this was the time when Soviet Union changed the world politics. A unipolar world covered into a bipolar world. A world which was more humanistic, one which was thinking for the ordinary workers in the world, the world which was coming out of the exploitation of the Industrial Revolution. This was the contribution of Soviet Union in the world politics. And humanism emerged during those times. International organizations rapidly emerged during this time. So this was the classical role of Soviet Union in the world politics that we cannot ignore. And this was World War I and World War II. The fate of the World War II was decided in the Leningrad. The 18-month siege was not an ordinary experience. This was the Soviet forces This was the Stalin who fought for the defeat of Nazis and other extremist forces. So one has to realize this. And then after 1991, what happened? It was general perception that the unipolar world will be more peaceful, it will be more progressive, it will be more enlightened, more democratic, and what Fukuyama said, everything has been put away, and there is nothing like this. One is more vulnerable, one is more extremist, one is more fundamentalist, world is heading towards more far-right politics globally, not only in our region, but globally in shape of Trump, in shape of Modi, in shape of many other things. That's a more dangerous thing which emerged after the 1991 the global practices. Now coming to the Pakistan's relation with Russia, currently we have the name of Russia. The South Asia has a long history of relationship with former Soviet Union, as you call the current day Russia. The first Progressive Right Association in the first branch of Communist Party was established in 1926 in Lucknow, and that was the first pioneering experience with subcontinent, with the Soviet Union and our region. And ultimately, at that time, they used the popular slogans, Asia stood red, Asia is red, because there was a revolution in China, there was a revolution in Soviet Union, and that was a binding relationship between South Asia and the world, although those things are not both a part of this. This was the time when we were exposed to great novelists, Maxim Gorky, we were exposed to Khashoggi, we were exposed to Tolstoy and many things else which have a long-lasting relationship. Still, they have influenced on our history, on our culture, on our thinking, and on our progressive politics, especially in South Asia, in our country. That is a long history. Then, ultimately, the time of partition was central. We decided to join the West, as Dr. Saab has mentioned in his book, it's a conflict between East and the West. We decided to join the West. That was a very painful experience for Pakistan for the last 70 years. And this was the time it was thought that we should join another country who is next to our neighbor, and that next to neighbor can rescue us many things. But our ruling oligarchy, you call the Hukmaran Ashrafia, they decided to join the West, especially US and UK. And what we have gained, nothing in hands, dependency from the day first. And that was more painful. And I don't remember at that time, lot of Marxist scholars like Professor Hamza Ali, Dr. Feroz Ahmad, and Dr. Ejaz Ahmad, they used to write on this issue that Pakistan has to redirect its foreign policy instead of relying on US and other countries, they should redirect their policy. And one of the classical articles written by Professor Hamza Ali, the burden of US on Pakistan, that was a classical document, and that has been cited as one of the examples how West has been exploited underdeveloped countries for these purposes. Those are our history, and those histories must be revisited once we are writing on the ONC. And then for the last several years, we have been the part of the West, but it was a time, 1965 war. Who rescued us after 1965? It was Soviet Union. In Tashkent, it was Soviet Union which ultimately forced India to go for an agreement with Pakistan to withdraw all those things. It was not USA, it was Soviet Union at that time that rescued us. And Shahid Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was the person who first time literally engaged China and Soviet Union for this long-lasting friendship. And we have lot of industrial development in this country. This entire steel town, steel mill, this port glassing, heavy industrial machinery and everything are the gift from this socialist bloc. Whether it's China, whether it's Soviet Union, we got many things. But all the other category, what we have seen is there is a cash inflows, but cash inflows have not changed the lives of ordinary Pakistani citizens. They have gone into some cities, but not in ordinary citizens' welfare. And the turning point was 1979, when General Ziaul had decided to make another alliance with US and West against Soviet Union. And that has changed the world. And today, what we are looking into the situation, this rise of extremism, this rise of fundamentalism, this rise of intolerance is a result of unholy alliance between our country and to the West against Soviet Union. Although in 1991 Soviet Union disappeared, but still world is feeling those were the very painful decisions taken by the world, and especially led by the West countries, and that is a painful thing. And now looking into these things, this is a time we have to readjust ourselves and see the global policies, how it can be exercised. And let me just tell you, this is a hall where we have conducted 3 conferences previously. In 2017, we conducted our conference of the centenary celebrations of October Revolution. Then we had another conference on Karl Marx, when there was second centenary of Karl Marx. And then we have done many other things on this issue. And we hope with your support and other support, we'll continue this exercise. Thank you very much, Saka. And then for the last several years, we have been the part of the West. But it was a time, 1965 war, who rescued us after 1965. It was Soviet Union. In Tashkent, it was Soviet Union which ultimately forced India to go for an agreement with Pakistan to withdraw all those things. It was not USA, it was Soviet Union at that time that rescued us. And Shahid Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was the person who first time literally engaged China and Soviet Union for this long-lasting friendship. And we have lot of industrial development in this country. This entire steel town, steel mill, this port glassing, heavy industrial machinery and everything are the gift from this socialist bloc. Whether it's China, whether it's Soviet Union, we got many things. But on the other contrary, what we have seen is there is a cash inflows, but cash inflows have not changed the lives of ordinary Pakistani citizens. They have gone into some cities, but not in ordinary citizens. And the turning point was 1979, when General Ziaul had decided to make another alliance with US and West against Soviet Union. And that has changed the world. And today, what we are looking into the situation, this rise of extremism, this rise of fundamentalism, this rise of intolerance is a result of unholy alliance between our country and to the West against Soviet Union. Although in 1991 Soviet Union disappeared, but still world is feeling those were the very painful decisions taken by the world, and especially led by the West countries, and that is a painful thing. And now looking into these things, this is a time we have to readjust ourselves and see the global policies, how it can be exercised. And let me just tell you, this is a hall where we have conducted 3 conferences previously. In 2017, we conducted our conference of the centenary celebrations of October Revolution. Then we had another conference on Karl Marx, when there was second centenary of Karl Marx. And then we have done many other things on this issue. And we hope with your support and other support, we'll continue this exercise. Thank you very much, Saka.
Thank you very much, sir, for setting the tone for today's debate, if you will. Okay, next speaker would be General Muinuddin Haider Sahab. He joined Pakistan Army in 1960 and served at various command and staff positions. He participated in 1965 and 1917 wars and saw active combat. He did his Masters in Defence Studies for Royal College of Defence Studies, Seaforth, UK, and has distinction of being the first Pakistani to get his thesis published in Seaforth House papers. He retired as Corps Commander Lahore in 1997 and was appointed Governor of Sindh from March 1997 to June 1999. Later, he was appointed as Federal Minister of Interior, Narcotics Control and Capital Administration from November 1999 till November 2002. Presently, he is Chairman of Fatimi Foundation, which is the largest charity blood transfusion service of Pakistan. He is on governing bodies of several universities and hospitals as well, and he has adopted 6 government schools for improving their standards in poor areas of Karachi. I would like sir to join us and share his take as far as today's topic is concerned. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Consul General of Russia, and my friends sitting on the stage, and very honorable people in front of us, Mrs. Shanaz Wazir, I see Imtiaz, my old colleague, and many others, everybody. Good afternoon. I think you have heard the opening remarks by Dr. Professor, setting the tone for the introduction of this book. And he mentioned about Tulu, which was, I think, issued by the Russian embassy here. And this was in reply to United States Sarbin in Urdu and Panorama in English. So I never read Tulu at that time, only Sarbin used to be somehow the other reaching us. That's why we have taken that road. And you mentioned about that initially when we became independent, we chose to be friends with America rather than Russia. And it is said that our Prime Minister Yaqut Ali Khan, although he had an invitation from the Soviet Union, but he went towards America. He was shot dead later on. And then Imran Khan recently went there, and he's also been shot at. So one has to be very careful when you go to Russia, because there are many enemies here. Now, about this book, first of all, I must commend Dr. Muhammad Ali Ehsan for writing this book. The crisis is continuing, the war is continuing. What will be its ultimate results has yet to be seen. But he has given us the background and the situation on the ground as to what is happening, and of course some glimpses of the future also. So first of all, did you serve in the army, sir?
I did, sir.
Oh, so everybody sitting on the stage is from the armed forces here. So you can see, if army people become scholar, what will happen to this country? But Dr. Saab has done his PhD, he has written several books, and today he is launching another important book on the current situation of what is going on there. So basically we were seeing this brewing up in the recent years, and my understanding of the situation was that the news around Russia was being tightened, and Russia actually was being provoked into a war by ringing around them and extending their NATO network. And Putin protested. He said, please don't threaten our security, don't come to our soft underbelly, only 75 kilometers from St. Petersburg, and don't put your weapons there. It threatens our security. But America did not listen and did not give them a guarantee. They said, if you give us a guarantee that Ukraine will not become part of NATO, well, everything will go as normal. But that did not happen. That guarantee never came. So it is basically that Russia wants to secure its landmass and is adjoining countries, especially those which were at one time part of the Soviet Union, and they became free after Soviet Union turned into Russia, and there is a large number of Russian population living in the adjoining areas, diaspora, which Russia wants to protect. So it is for that reasons that it decided to invade. Now, in response to this, which West had foreseen this will happen, and it had a plan ready to claim sanctions. And those sanctions that nobody should buy Russian oil, nobody should buy Russian gas, so that they thought they will harm the economy of Russia. But the reverse has happened. European Union has suffered a great deal, and their economies are under great stress, and they have to now buy oil from America, which is shipped from there, including LNG, at much higher costs. And those pipelines coming from Russia are drying up slowly, which is a very, very serious situation for Europe. So sanctions have worked the other way. Whereas Russia, I think, is selling all its oil, but it says, I will accept money in rubles and not in American dollars, which has again in the world scene will create a new problem. Many people want to break away from the dollar. The BRICS countries, in which many countries want to join in, and they say that we have a large number of GDP producing countries have joined together, and they want to work out a mechanism in which they can bypass the dollar and carry on their trade. Important countries, Russia, China, Brazil, South Africa, Egypt wants to join them, Algeria, many other countries want to join them. So, dollar, a piece of paper, not backed by gold, not backed by anything, but ruling the world, is being challenged. And once you start some invasion and you start, sometimes you cannot foresee what will be its outcome. China has given full support to Russia on this issue, and they have become closer. This is another outcome of this. And this, America's insistence, like they told us in Pervez Musharraf days, either you are on our side or you are with the terrorists or whatever, our enemies. So again here they keep testing you, United Nations, elsewhere. Do we raise hand for America or we raise our hand for Russia? So they are putting us under test unnecessarily. And as for America saying that this is against human rights and this is against invading a country, sovereign country, Ukraine, America shouldn't be saying it. It has attacked in the recent past Iraq, it has attacked Syria, Libya, Afghanistan. All the time it's ready. And it is giving Ukrainian every day millions of dollars are sanctioned by their Congress and others, with which they buy weapons, and those weapons are used to hurt Russian forces. So they are selling their weapons, they are making their money. So at that time they forget about human rights and they forget about that other countries have some also. They can't be just bullied around and can't be attacked and can't be overrun without any rhyme or reason. Like 9/11, I mean, making that an excuse, or Afghanistan for that matter. But what is unfolding on the world scene, it seems, that the 21st century belongs to Asia. It belongs to Russia, it belongs to China, it belongs to Pakistan, India, and all these countries located here. You have seen that they are in the path of progress, not Pakistan, but ultimately it will find its way. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Next we have Mr. Mukhtar Ahmed Bhatt. He has served in Pakistan Army for 27 years and he has also served in different capacities at Pakistan International Airlines, CAA, Pakistan Steel, multinational companies. I can't name all of them. Apart from that, he has been contributing into Jung, Dawn, Pakistan Observer, News, Business Recorder, Financial Daily Times, and so forth. Apart from that, he has also acted as anchor for different programs for Business Plus, and currently he is a columnist for Financial Daily International, among others. And finally, he has also written 2 books on Pakistani situation. So, sir, would you kindly join us? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. His Excellency Andrew V. Pedro, Consul General of Russian Consulate, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. To express opinion when you have to face very experienced and learned scholars. Keeping this in mind, I have restricted my comments on a very small note. It's a big text, don't worry about the pages. The subject is Russian-Ukraine crisis. I must admit that at the very outset, when I turned page number 1 of introduction of this book, titled The Russian-Ukraine Crisis, it solved my problem of going into the depth of the crisis and its global effect. It starts with the statement of Russian President Vladimir Putin. It says, there is no in-between, no intermediate state, either a country is sovereign or it is a colony. No matter what the colonies are called, and colony has no historical prospects. If a country is not able to make sovereign decisions, it's a colony. This statement is equally applicable to small and big countries, including superpower. I shall try to comment on the questions being raised in the press all over the world. And they are, if it is an invasion, can it be justified? If it is crisis, can it be resolved? Is criticism on President Putin justified? The role of West NATO countries and US in the crisis? Who is the loser in the end game? And what is the solution to the present crisis? In a nutshell, my first question is, can the Russian act be justified? Putin considers Ukraine as a former colony. Ukraine considers itself as an independent nation, and as the author has written in his book, it depends on your perspective from which side you are tackling the problem. So if the Ukraine is strategically important to Russia and has been part of USSR, therefore Russia justifies its claim of doing what it is doing. Next question is, if it is crisis, can it be resolved? Answer is yes, any crisis can be resolved. War has never been any solution to the problem. In fact, it adds to problems. It only brings death and destruction. Cities are turned into heaps of ruins. Innocent people are killed beside large numbers get wounded. Ultimately, parties sit and talk and shout out their matters. The US war on terror is a classical example of present history, where 16-year war in Afghanistan, bombing of Libya, Iraq, sovereign states were damaged beyond repair, including killing of head of states of Libya, Iraq, without any justification, taking cover of weapons of mass destruction. Defeat of superpower in the hands of Taliban is a lesson in question that should be a future guide for those who believe in use of force. Loss of $3 trillion beside losing thousands of soldiers, and the result was negotiated withdrawal. Details are known to everybody. Next question is criticism justified on Putin as far as Ukraine crisis or war is concerned? The answer is emphatic no. After dismemberment of USSR in 1991, US verbally had promised and given understanding that these units shall not join NATO, but West continued to bring them in the fold. Ukraine was the deadline. Putin had warned very clearly many times that there will be no compromise in case US tried to bring Ukraine into NATO fold. They openly violated the understanding, therefore Putin had no option except to retaliate against US intervention. Putin has termed it as execution of special force operations needs some explanation. The role of US and its allies has certainly been objectionable due to pumping of military equipment to Ukraine without realizing its consequences. US in such cases uses its tool of sanctions. That is what he did with Russia also, to which Russia has responded adequately. My next question was, who is the loser? It was on 24th February 2022 when President Putin directed his forces to launch multi-pronged assault, which was termed as a special military operation with objective to quickly seize Kyiv with aim to depose the government. But Ukrainian forces fought bravely and thwarted the Russian attempts, of course with the help of NATO forces. Now there is stalemate since war is not yet over. But certainly Russia has faced setback as she failed to achieve objectives, and the process soldiers come civilian have been killed on both sides. There has been continuous flow of weapons from west to Ukraine that brought temporary relief to Ukraine, but it's not a permanent solution to the problem. It is around 9 months and Russians have not been able to capture Kyiv. On the other hand, Ukraine has been able to regain portion of lost territory. Ukraine economy suffered over $750 billion so far, as given in the press. Let me remind people that this conflict has affected the world, whole world. Ukraine, Russia, biggest grain growers countries in the world, is likely to result in food shortage if this situation continues for some time. It is now geoeconomy and not the geopolitics. The country which is stronger in economy shall ultimately lead the world. Imagine 35 countries, including superpower, pitched against one Iron Man, Putin. Just one man against 35 countries and superpower. And they have failed to match the Putin's strategy. The rest must understand that things have changed and gone on the days of regression. Under the circumstances, the best solution is to negotiate and go for a peaceful dialogue and find a solution to the problem through peaceful means. That ultimately happens. Take any war, take First World War, Second World War, Afghanistan War, any war. Lastly, to say a few words about Pak-Russia relations. It is a long history of ups and downs. There were two superpowers when Pakistan emerged as independent sovereign state on the world land, along with India. Newborn countries always have a number of problems like rehabilitation of people, shortage of money, lack of proper infrastructure, etc. The US established diplomatic relations with Pakistan in 1947, just after independence, whereas the USSR established relations with Pakistan on 1st May 1948. Throughout the Cold War, relations between Pakistan and Russia saw ups and downs. In 1949, Truman invited Nehru to pay state visit to US. While no invitation was received by Liaquat Ali Khan, there is a common perception that former Prime Minister did not respond positively to the Soviet invitation and went to USA ahead. This is absolutely ridiculous and nonsense. The truth is, the Soviets suggested Prime Minister arrival in Moscow on August 15, 1949, which coincided with the second anniversary of India's independence. As such, Liaquat Ali Khan's visit was not considered feasible. Pakistan suggested alternate date 17 August, while Soviets suggested 10th of October. Finally, Pakistan proposed 5th November 1949. A formal invitation to visit USSR did not materialize during Liaquat Ali time and thereafter. Unfortunately, our bureaucracy, as usual, the red tapeism, failed to pursue diplomatic pressure. Otherwise, I am sure Pakistan would have been in much happier position as it is now. Liaquat Ali Khan visited USA on 3rd May 1950. He was received by Truman, and his visit, although was 3rd to 5th July, 5th May, but it lasted for 26 days. Unparalleled in the history of diplomatic affairs. After visited, Truman sent his personal plane to London to bring Prime Minister of Pakistan, and Truman, with his wife, along with entire cabinet, was present at the airport to receive him. If such a high protocol was given, of course, there must be some ulterior motives. Otherwise, a newly born country having nothing at their resources then get such reception. Then another thing which happened under the influence of US was U-2 spy incidents that sealed Pakistan's fate, unfortunately. It flew from Badabir base that was just termed as a communication center. You know, cover by these things are operate under covers. The spy plane was shot by Russian armed defense forces. And at that time, the president of US was Eisenhower, and Khrushchev was the president of USSR. So I still remember our student. They said that we have marked Peshawar with a red line. That means be watchful, Pakistan, be watchful. Later on, President Ayub sent a written apology, and it was very magnanimous on the part of the USSR to accept that apology, so that relations keep moving. In international politics, ups and downs are always there. The one party has to show some flexibility, and this all praises for USSR with such a grave incident that took place. Then Ayub Khan came in interaction with when he went to Moscow to sign Tashkent Declaration. after ceasefire 1965. That was another breakthrough. In 72, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto Shaheed, he also went there. And I think the greatest contribution of USSR for Pakistan has been setting up one of the greatest joint industrial complex in Qasim, Pakistan Steel. I happened to be there on deputation from Pakistan Army for 4 years, and I have worked with Russians, very hard-working people, very hard-working people. When they left us, the production was 85% in profit. The recommended manpower of Pakistan Steel is 9,500. Even Pakistan political pressures, we had 22,000 employees, even then we were generating profits. And now you see it's closed. I think 415 billion rupees loss has happened. I fail to understand, I wrote in many papers, Russia offered to recommission it, the steel mill, and they offered $300 million loan, as I read in the papers. I don't know why this offer was refused. I wish if it had been accepted, the mill should have been running now. Now imagine 18,000, 20,000 people losing jobs, mill closed, and infrastructure in shambles. And now again effort is being made to lease out to some outsiders. Still time to hand over to USSR, Russian Federation. They can commission it in, I think, minimum 6 months. We have trained engineers who are retired, dedicated, and ready to again come and work for the steel mill. Now, then later on, the relations were established very nicely, and in 2016, joint military exercises were conducted, and we have got Mi-35 attack helicopters from Russia. I think 3 have been received. We have paid for 25 of them, and remaining are yet to be received. Finally, the Ukraine war is critical area. It will have political and economic consequences that are reshaping the global landscape. It has shifted the West's attention from its strategic priority in Asia Pacific. The year ahead will see rising geopolitical tensions and nations struggle with economic challenges. Conflict has given rise to food prices and intensified global inflation. Will West in the long run can sustain its support for Ukraine for a longer period? That is a burning question. I think West cannot sustain for a long time. There is always a limit. Here the key lies. Putin shall succeed by defeating the lines of West. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Especially grateful to Ijaz Gul Sahab. He has just gone to Karachi from Islamabad. He is currently Chief Executive Director of the Center for Research and Security Studies in Islamabad, and he was the founding director of it and has been working there since 2007. He, to his credit, has plenty of things to go through. I will just cover some of the books that he has written. In 2002, he published The Unholy Nexus, Pakistan-Afghan Relations under the Taliban. In 2009, his book was Al-Qaeda Connection, Taliban and Terror in Tribal Areas. In 2010, the most dangerous place, Pakistan's lawless frontier. In 2012, Pakistan before and after Osama bin Laden. And 2014, Pakistan pivot off Hizb ut-Tahrir global caliphate. He has been writing for different news theories, foreign policy, USA, Wall Street Journal. Then we have in Lahore, Friday Times, Pulse Weekly, Islamabad, Daily Express Tribune. And the area that he has mostly covered are militancy, both Islamic and otherwise, border regions of Pakistan and Afghanistan, Indo-Pak relations, and so forth. He has been engaged in research and reporting and worked with the United States, Canada, Switzerland, Germany, France, Belgium, Netherlands, UK, Italy, Spain, Romania, Hungary, Central Asian Republics, Russia, India, Sri Lanka, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Japan, Palestine, Libya, UAE, and other places that he has been to and worked with different governments. He's also fluent in English, German, Pashto, Urdu, Punjabi, and Dari. And I would like sir to join us and share with us his take as far as today's topic is concerned. Sir, please.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum ji. Assalamu alaikum ji. I'm very humbled in the beginning by the long profile that our friend read out. It's very embarrassing actually for me when somebody starts talking about what I have done. This is all a small contribution as a journalist, as a writer. So first of all, thank you very much, Ehsan sir, for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here in the university for the first time. And we've been discussing this book for quite some time. Ever since he told me, he threatened me that you will have to come here when we are launching it. So I complied. And I can't say no to an army officer. So, but then I also went through the book, and I think this is an extremely useful, critical piece of literature on a subject that not many people want to indulge in, like writing about Russia or writing about China. You didn't mention my book I published last year on Pakistan-China relations. I forgot to bring that actually. But anyway, so this is, I browsed through the book, and I find it actually extremely useful because it contains things that you usually don't get anywhere else, and I think there's dearth of positive literature on Russia, even on China. And what I found most interesting was one of the chapters, Putinism. So I then started exploring what is Putinism. Vladimir Putin, has been around for 22 years as somebody who has lorded over Russia, the post-Soviet Union, when he took over from Boris Yeltsin. And Boris Yeltsin, you mentioned this in your book, said, take care of Russia, now I'm leaving. So I think if we look at what has happened in Russia since Boris Yeltsin left, or since Vladimir Putin took over, has been an amazing turnaround, amazing journey of Russia under Vladimir Putin. I remember the first time I went to Russia in 1991-92 when the Soviet Union had disintegrated, and the shelves in the supermarkets were empty, and there were no restaurants open, with few restaurants, and then even those few were closed at 6 o'clock. So one evening we had to starve literally because we didn't find anything to eat in those days. But it's a different Russia that now has developed under Putin. Proud organizers of the World Cup 4 years ago, my sons went there and they were flabbergasted by the kind of development that has taken place there. They were communicating with us via WhatsApp, so there was internet available to everybody. Now I've been speaking with a former friend whom we had met in 1990s, and he's a priest now in Tambov in central Russia. and I asked him through my brother. Of course, my brother speaks Russian, so I don't know Russian. But we had visited their dacha actually in Varanasi. So I asked them, what does Vladimir Putin mean for Russia today? So it's just 5 lines I would read out. This priest, our friend Yura, says that Russians are living a happy life because they are enjoying cheap electricity, cheap petrol, gasoline, and cheap natural gas. No inflation, no economic hardships, and we are ready to welcome any foreigner who is not able to afford energy in his or her native country, because we have it in abundance. Whatever the West is telling you, we don't care, because we care for our basic necessities, and Mr. Putin is taking care of it effectively. So this is a message I just encapsulated in these 5 lines from a priest living in central Russia. Now, my younger brother, who also happens to be a journalist, he also has a very deep knowledge of Russia. And he had been telling me the same. I said, don't tell me your thing, just talk to Europe and get me a message on what Putinism means. And then when I had this paragraph drafted, I also recalled Putin's February speech when the Russian forces got into this operation, what they call it an operation, it's a special military operation, right? And just to deal with the anti-Russian elements in Ukraine. And this speech is actually very instructive and reflects on the nationalism, the nationalistic spirit that Putin revived and has used to develop the country politically, socially, and economically. So in his speech, I borrowed it also from your book, Ehsan. He said we should know our history as it was, take lessons from it, and always remember those who created the Russian state and defended its values, who made it great and powerful state. We will preserve the memory and this connection through time, the memory and connection through time, and all the best from our memory we will hand over to our next generations. I consider it my duty to unite the people of Russia, to collect its people around clear aims and tasks, and remember each day and every minute that we have one motherland, one people, and that together we have a future. So this is a remarkable piece of nationalistic thinking, a clear vision, which also embodies the social traditions of Russia. So here I'm going to say something which my Russian friends may not like or may not agree with, but Russians are the Pashtuns of Europe. Okay, so why? You know, the Russians, like Pashtuns, I'm also Pashtun. They're very passionate, very emotional, but committed to friends. So, कहते हैं ना, यारों का यार और दुश्मन का दुश्मन. So the friend of friends and enemy of enemies. So they're unforgiving, like Pashtuns. This vendetta, intikam, जो है ना, they don't forget. This is what I learned. You may disagree with that, you know. But these are characteristics of nations, of ethnic groups that you cannot deny. So I don't want to take too much of your time, but I would say that there are a lot of things I have written down, but I think I don't want to bore you further. But it's quite an amazing work, and I think students can learn a lot whoever wants a peek into Russia. And also, I'm sure you will have opportunity to improve it, to build on it, what we have created. So thank you very much.